And hello, everyone. Matthew, you here?
Hey, hey, can you hear
We
me?
can hear you. We're hearing some
Uh,
background noise on your headset.
oh,
So I hate to say this, but if you're using a Bluetooth headset, Twitter Spaces sucks. You may have to use a wired headset if you have one.
right. I think it's because of my air conditioning unit, so I turned it off right now. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's less technical than that. It's it's your AC. Dude, okay. Oh my goodness. Is it really hot where you are? It's super hot.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, use you know the well, you can use a fan or using an AC unit. All right. Just make sure that AC unit is ESG. Okay, it has to be environmental friendly. All right.
Understood.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. It's like, dude, that was my AC. Okay. All right, so I'm sure I'm calling your mansion, your 10 bedroom and 5,000 square foot mansion, 10,000 square foot mansion. I
Mm-hmm.
had that too.
And indoor and outdoor
That's
too. Yeah.
right. One
Don't
up
forget
slope.
about
Oh
that.
my God. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paloma's AMA. Thank you very much, Salima, for setting us up. Thank you for getting us ready today. And a shout out to everyone. If you're here, you're most likely listening in for the volume and Paloma AMA on TestNet 6. Most likely, if you're going to be listening to this whole thing, you may be essentially one of the validators or community members on the Paloma community channel on Telegram or even on a follow on our GitHub. Today is Wednesday, August 3rd, and this is our first AMA for August. And what we're doing today is I have with me Mattia. And Mattia is joining me from the volume team. He's head of engineering. And what we're going to do today is talk about a lot of what has happened on Paloma for testnet 6. We've had a lot of changes in the code base, a lot of changes from the community. And so things have been going very, very fast, a lot of upheaval. I want to sort of have a chat about exactly what is going on, what changes, what features have come out, what they mean, why they're important, and what folks can expect for the next phase of the testnet. So first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody from Volume and Volume's community. If you're at volume.finance, you're in our Discord. Many thanks. And I think Larry, if you're here, could you please just, I think we need to put an announcement in the Discord. I forgot that. And then, of course, I want to say welcome to the Paloma community, to our friends from all over the world, our Turkish friends. Yes, we love you. Our Russian friends, Indonesian friends, Vietnamese friends, Chinese friends, Korean friends, and everybody who is using the software. Thank you and welcome. So let's get started. So let's start off with a quick introduction, Mattia. You've been one of our chats before. Let's just reconnect and have everybody meet you again. So you're Mattia. Who are you? Who's your daddy, and what do you do? Because you're the daddy. What do you do?
Okay. Yeah, so as you said, my name is Mati. I'm head of engineering at Volume. Yeah, my main focus is working on the chain and the companion app to the chain called Pigeon. Yeah, that's my short intro.
That's very short and
Super short.
love it, love it. And we call Paloma the scrappiest messenger chains. Really, this is about you're essentially bringing this new Cosmos SDK messenger chain to life to be one of the
Mhm.
best that Cosmos app chains in the entire crypto ecosystem. Did I read you correctly? Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Okay. All right. And of course, special thanks to all our advisors, Marco Breviak from Tendermint, Alessio from
Mhm.
Tendermint, Helder from Tendermint, everybody in the Tendermint and Cosmos ecosystem has helped us. Thank you very much. Of course, even Jahan Trembach over at Informal. We have warm thanks for you all for advising us to get this far. Okay, so let's talk about testnet 6. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the features. We have about 5 topics. We're going to try to hit all of them and make sure we cover them so people know what does this software does, what does the software do, and what are the components, so people can get the big vision. But we're going to go deep into the weeds in this chat. So let's first talk about Paloma. So Paloma aims to be, just like Mattia said, the smartest and maybe scrappiest messenger blockchain in the entire crypto ecosystem space. And the way we think about chains is we think about source chains and target chains, right? So if you're an IDC, which is the interblockchain protocol that is on the Cosmos side, which is a client type protocol, like client protocol for chains to send messages to other chains. We usually use the terms source chain and target chain. And so you can think of Paloma as currently our focus is on making it source chain that connects to many, many different target chains. And of course, there are other people who do this really well. To our friends at Layer Zero, we give a big shout out to our friends at Nomad. Hang in there. To our friends at Axelar, congratulations and continued growth. Our friends at Umi, Sipchain, and others tend to do a lot of this technology. But what makes, I think, Paloma different is, Mattia, we're trying to make Paloma hit every EVM target chain, right? Like as soon as an EVM target chain exists, Paloma can send messages to that chain, right? And that means correct, great. So we're going to talk about the features that came out. So before we've got done an AMA on technical for at least a month. So the last time we've talked about technicals, it was we were at 0.2.5 alpha. Now we're at 0.4.1. We've had a lot of breaking changes.
No, we are at 0.50.
My goodness. Somebody stop the Paloma train. Oh my God, going too fast. Thank you for correcting me. I'm a boomer. It's a problem with you Zoomers. Okay, so we are at 0.5.0 on Paloma, and we're at 0.4.0 on Pigeon.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me check.
Okay, so let's talk about core features of the target chain. So first things first, how easy is it to activate Paloma to talk to a new EVM target chain? What did we deliver, or what did you deliver to make that happen? You want to start off with that section?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it is as easy as adding a new proposal to any Cosmos SDK type of chain. So to add a new EVM type of chain, you would create a new proposal. You would define some arbitrary block height, hash of that same block at the same height.
Right.
You give it a name, and that's it.
That is it. Wow. So, and after 2 days, voting passes, and then suddenly this new chain is active on the Paloma protocol and Paloma network.
Yes, because before adding a new chain, actually the order doesn't matter, but we can also add a smart contract definition to Paloma via governance, and Paloma will deploy the said smart contract to all EVM type of chains that it supports of. So when we add a support for a new EVM type of chain, Paloma will see, this chain doesn't have a smart contract uploaded yet. I'm going to upload a new Compass EVM to it. Awesome. And it also goes through governance, and yeah.
Got it. So for example, I'm a big fan of let's try a random chain. Say I'm a big fan of Cello, which is an EVM based chain. Are you saying it's as easy? How would I'm on Paloma. I'm like, listen, you know what? I want to send commands over to Cello. How do I do that with Paloma then? Given what you just said.
Then you would open Paloma D. Then you would use right now as we speak, the only way to add a new proposal is through the command line. You would simply run, a command, which would add a support for a new chain.
Yep, and I would have to give the block height on Cello and the hash of the block height on Cello that we would start tracking.
It can be any arbitrary block height. It's best to use the latest one. It's something, it's one optimization step that we use on Pigeon, just to help us know if we are on the correct chain or not, so that Pigeon can tell, yep, I'm on the right chain. It will compare the block height at that block hash at that specific block height. So yeah.
Yep. Got it. And so once that happens, validators the validators, I guess, will be alerted, hey, if you want to be a validator on Paloma, you need to now have, or you need to set up your endpoint connecting to an endpoint on that chain. So they have to connect to a Cello endpoint. or Celo node, if they had one, and start running Pigeon, their
Correct.
program, to be able to track transactions that are happening on Celo. Is that correct for
Correct.
you?
So
Right.
yeah, so they would open a pigeon config YAML file, add a new entry point for the new chain, and that's it.
Yep. Got it. And once they fired up their Pigeon
Mhm.
0.4.0, Pigeon
Mhm.
would talk to Paloma and say, "Hey, I am currently able to send messages over to Celo. Just send me, get me messages. I'm ready to go. Let's go."
Correct.
Is it as easy as that? All right,
Correct.
cool. So this could happen even for L2s. Say I wanted to deploy to, I'm like, listen, you know what? I want to send messages to Arbitrum. I want to send messages to Optimism. Any chain that I can come up with, all I need is for governance to say, yeah, you know what, that chain is a chain we'll support. We vote for that chain, and essentially, boom, validators will have to bring it up. So there is no restriction on
Mhm.
what chain Paloma can talk to, at least in the EVM space in this moment.
Yep.
Awesome. Um, that is very, very cool. And
Mhm.
so I think another thing too is that now I can do that. And because I'm on Paloma, I have Cosmwasm. Can I write smart contracts to essentially execute commands across these networks? So I can say, hey, Paloma, why don't I write a Cosmwasm contract to execute a smart contract on Celo? I can do that.
Yep, you can. Although this is not something that we have documented yet, but it
Hey,
exists.
hey,
So
hey, hey, come on, hold
hey,
on. It's like yes or no question. Can I
yes,
do
yes,
it?
yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, got
Yeah,
it. Documentation. Who needs documentation?
you're
Just do
right.
it. Just do it. Just like do it, like do
Mhm.
it. All right. So yes, we need to bring documentation. But
Mhm.
in this moment today, I can write a Cosmosm contract that can literally
Mhm.
hit multiple smart contracts deployed on any chain that I wish to have Paloma support.
Yep. Yep.
That's the bottom line. Okay. And is there any other chain that we know that does this in the crypto ecosystem today?
I don't know.
Uh, well, yeah. Well, what we will say is that there are many other protocols that do give you cross-chain communication, but
Mhm.
you're gated by which chains you're allowed to communicate to, right? So
Ah,
the different, right? So anybody can do this. This is not impossible, but making it easy, just reducing the barriers to say, hey, you want to start sending cross-chain messages to Binance Smart Chain tomorrow, you can do it. You want to start sending, cross-chain messages to Boba Network, you can. What if I came up with my own blockchain, which was an EVM chain called Target Chain? I can tell Paloma, hey, start. Hey, I want to send messages to Target Chain. I can do this today. So it, not to be silly, but to be very clear, this is now something that you can do for any EVM chain in the entire crypto ecosystem.
yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, cool. And I'm sure we're looking at other chains, but we're not going to talk about it on this call. Sorry, on this AMA, but I'm assuming that you have plans for us to go beyond EVM into any other
Oh yeah.
essentially up.
That's
Okay, there
the
you go.
idea.
All right, cool. All right, next up, let's talk about attestation. We see that attestation is a critical feature. Well, before we go to attestation, let's talk about pigeons.
Mhm.
What is a pigeon? What is this pigeon software that
Pigeon
you have
software, right?
created for us?
So Pigeon is a companion app to Paloma. So when you are running as a validator, when you are running a Paloma, you also need to run Pigeon. So Pigeon is the thing which reads messages from Paloma and distributes them to target chains. And it does attestation, but yeah, more on that later.
Yeah, yeah. So we could say that Pigeon is like a relayer. Yes, is that the
Exactly,
relayer? That's a
exactly.
relayer. Got it. And again, this is common software. We have
Mhm.
relayers in IBC. We have relayers in Gravity. We have relayers even in Polkadot. Pigeon is a from the ground up relayer that's really optimized for sending messages from the Paloma D protocol as a queue of messages. So it's always checking the queue,
Mhm.
right? So
Yep.
you have this component called a queue. Messages go in there. People want to send messages to all blockchains across the entire planet.
Mhm.
Paloma can then have the pigeons, and the pigeons collect these messages and send them. Right.
Mhm.
Of course, the pigeons then get refunded and paid for that service. So now
Yep.
that we know what the pigeon software is, let's talk about the job of the pigeon. So one of the jobs of the pigeon seems to be this thing called attestation. And so do you want to help define attestation for us so that we understand what it is?
Yes. So basically, simplified. So attestation. That's a way of bringing some external data to the chain, and basically we are using pigeons, to report the data
Right.
in. Yeah.
Right, right. So any external data source that the pigeons
Anything.
can process that Paloma has approved can come in, be processed by pigeons, and then what? So is it that pigeons will run the message, run message processing, and then report back to Paloma and said, "Hey, I'm a pigeon. I just sent this message over to that other nest. 2 thumbs up," and then Paloma then processes that or asks other pigeons to attest to that thing
Exactly.
happening? Is that
Yes.
how we
Yes.
should think about it?
Yep.
Okay. So really, other pigeons look to see what other pigeons check other pigeons' homework. Is that how I should think of it? Like, pigeon did his homework, and the other's like, "Cool, cool. Did you do your homework? Cool." And so once we have consensus, then that the success of that transaction get written to the Paloma blockchain, so anybody can verify that independent pigeons have also confirmed that something happened on another blockchain, that message was sent, or a new message came in. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yep. Perfect.
Awesome, awesome. So again, so now that we have this rigorous attestation presentation, I'm guessing if I'm a validator and I'm running Pigeon, the attestation module is important because then maybe that's how I get paid, right? Because if the attestation module says, "Hey, Tarek's Pigeon and validator successfully sent a message," there's going to be monies for me, right? There's going to be cash
Yep.
for getting the job done.
That is right.
Right, right. And
Right.
as a validator, I want to get paid because, Paloma is not cheap. Okay, cool. So question, I think how many pigeons can Paloma support? How big can this grow? How big can the flock grow?
I mean, theoretically, it's infinite, but it's one validator, one pigeon. So
Got it.
simple as that.
Got it. So if we have 175 validators, we'll have 175 pigeons.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, let's talk about security and the security model. The security is a big deal this week. Of course, we all know, what transpired with Nomad. Um, I guess maybe the questions we have is, when we think about security, what is the security model for trusting that the pigeons are going? The pigeons are the ones that are sort of authorized to send messages. How does that work in Paloma?
Yeah. So we are basically using Valset. So what is a
Mm-hmm.
Valset? It is
Mm-hmm.
short for validator set. So without Valset, basically every pigeon or everybody could communicate with our Compass EVM. So that basically means anybody could run our transactions, and anybody could run those scheduled jobs for us. But this is not something that we want to do. Thus, we introduced validator sets. So every pigeon, not pigeon, rather, every Compass EVM has their own Valset. And Valset simply means it's a simple set containing of validators and their powers. So when Pigeon sends a message from Paloma to a target chain, the same
Mm-hmm.
message has some signatures which previous pigeons signed. And the
Right.
Compass CVM is using those signatures to verify. First, they are using to verify if the message is actually, signed by the
Right.
said validator, and then they are also verifying is there enough to form a consensus.
Right.
So if we don't have enough signatures, then we will drop the message. So that means not enough validators have signed the message,
Yep.
uh, and that's our security model. So we are
Right.
trusting the validators and their pigeons.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Exactly. And validators and pigeons get compensated in grains. So the goal is that those grains will be valuable enough that they will continue to do and continue to service the network in this way and in a secure way. And of course, and validators get slashed, right? If they don't sign the right messages or sign the messages
Yep. If they
improperly.
misbehave, Yep.
Yes.
Then we will notice this on the attestation step, and then we will
Yep.
flash them.
Will slash this state. Understood. All right.
Hmm.
So I know a lot of people have asked me about, how does Paloma differ from Nomad in the current hack? I wanted to share 2 points that Stephen Jung, he's here, might confirm. I think one of the things we've at Paloma have sort of taken on is that our Compass EVM code would be in Viper. And we've chosen to do Viper over Solidity because one, Viper is Pythonic, maybe easier for us to read, but also easy to sort of avoid some of these flubs that we've seen that can catch you in Solidity if you're not careful. So although Viper doesn't have as much great tooling, Viper has been really critical for Paloma to say, hey, we want to be using an approach to Solidity that sort of reduces the surface area of risk that might cause a Paloma contract to misbehave. Of course, you don't have to write Viper to use Paloma, but our Compass EVMs is written in Viper and will be audited based on its Viper code. I think also one thing we should note is that our Compass EVM contracts from Paloma that control transaction EVM is not upgradable. Looking at Nomad, they were what was a routine upgrade and a simple mistake that anyone can make, any of us could make, turned into be a $200 million liability. And I think one of the things we've taken from the team at Curve, which has been something they have adhered to, which we think also have made Curve successful, is that contracts, particularly smart contracts, should not be upgradable because you can always accidentally, inadvertently change the state intention with an upgrade versus deploying a new contract, which requires a set of new inputs, or deploying a new contract which requires everybody to move the liquidity over to a new contract and sort of deprecate the old one. So I think one of the things we would say is contract upgradability continues to be an area that opens the risk surface area for exploits in Solidity. And at Paloma, all the Compass EVMs have to be redeployed. And I noticed that when TestNet 6 was essentially upgraded, all the contracts, the Compass EVMs, were redeployed back onto the Ethereum blockchain. So what we want to do is take advantage of this attitude of you constantly must deploy new contracts in order to go forward. And of course, Compass EVM's deployment was through governance, right? So I think that is also means that if it's deploying through governance, more people will be able to take a look at the actual contract that's being deployed, and more people can vote. And if people are actively voting, that layer of security may help. We never say guaranteed will, but we say it might help. So Viper for the win, and non-upgradable smart contracts for the win as well. All right. Speaking of EVM, I think you did there were some optimizations in testnet 6. Mattia, I think we were doing 2 million queries on the Ethereum mainnet at one point, but now we're only doing 2,000. What was that change that went from 2 million queries a day to 2,000?
Yeah, I think going into technical details is too much for now. But yeah, we've done some work to
Some
reduce the number
optimizations.
of. Oh yeah.
All right, so it's okay. So Compass is getting EVM. Sorry, Paloma is becoming more efficient at querying its target blockchains. Is that what we're saying? Very
Pigeon
cool.
is querying the
Pigeon
target
is
blockchain.
querying.
Yeah.
Got it. Come here, Pigeon. Get over here. All right. Lastly, we're going to say that Paloma testnet 6 also has some magic from Chase, which is Pith price feeds. We didn't mention it as yet. Last 2 minutes. Thanks to the team at Jump Trading for providing us the support. You can now get Pith price feeds from Solana on Paloma's testnet. And with these price feeds, you can now create a Cosmosm contract on Paloma's testnet that can send messages based on those price feeds to trade on Ethereum mainnet. So today, even in our testnet, you can do amazing cross-chain execution based on Pith price feeds that are secured by the Solana network. So I think that's another amazing thing of testnet 6. We're scrambling to get documentation out so folks can take advantage of this. But if you like sort of, building and executing, remote systems trading, please come check us out at Paloma. You can start playing with stuff, particularly with Pyth on these price feeds. They're not a lot. We have about 6 price feeds on testnet, but it can prove very interesting because, as Mattia said, you can send transactions to Ethereum mainnet via the Pigeon network. Am I right, Mattia?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So as we rock it out, I'm just going to check in to see with our community. Do we have any questions? Any questions before we jump? Last 2 minutes. No questions? Awesome. Okay, so I think of course, this is not the end of, testnet 6 is not the end of the number of new features rolling out on Paloma. Where you're going to be working on some other cool features that we won't talk about yet, but I presume will be very interesting as we talk about communicating on these other blockchains, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good. Cool. And so that's everybody. And there may be some eggs in the future. We'd like to see the eggs. Bring on the eggs. We've been waiting too long for the eggs. So of course, we want to thank everybody on the team who tested testnet. Chase Albert, who tombstoned himself in glorious flame out on our testnet and sacrificed his validator for the betterment of Paloma. Thank you, Vera, who also tombstoned and sacrificed her stake for the glory of the pigeons. Thank you to, as well, Stephen Jung, who's trying to run his own validator. I think his validator is up now. Who else should we thank on the testnet side on volume? Anybody else we're missing? Jason Jacobs, who's running his own node. Yep, thank you very much. Of course, thank you to all the validators, Sergio, from folks who are running validators. We know you're spending money. We know you're keeping this network up. You will not be forgot. We have stuff for you, and we're glad you're with us. More upgrades coming, and of course, more documentation to showcase what you can do with this scrappy Paloma pigeon, which exists everywhere in every town. I'm seeing pigeons flying around me right now as we head into, of course, Paloma's mainnet. So thank you all. This was the update on Paloma testnet 6. Thank you, Thelema, for organizing. We will see you all next week with even more news. Have a great week ahead. And just remember, palomachain.com. Come check us out and come download a node and start playing. Thank you, Mattia.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, all. Cheers. Bye-bye.